welcome. Thank you all for coming this morning. Daily wrap today, Tuesday the 12th of May. Jack, overnight, some announcements from Donald Trump around the ceasefire.
Yeah, he basically came out and said the ceasefire and the peace proposal on life support, he's put an offer to Iran, they've counter-proposed, and he's really not happy with it. It's kind of dashed the short-term hopes a solution would be found. It's going to be interesting to see how the markets react to it. At the moment, they've sort of been more focused on the AI boom and the tech rally, but with this latest news regarding the peace proposal, do they start moving more risk-averse and do we start seeing a drop in equities?
And some Chinese CPI data coming out last night.
Yeah, so both Chinese PPI and CPI were both stronger than forecast. So that sort of strengthened the local currency, and it's currently sitting at its strongest levels in about two and a half years. So yeah, the Chinese economy is picking up some steam.
And a big one today with US CPI data. What are we thinking could happen if these figures come out sort of greater than expected or less than expected?
Yeah, so it's tipped for a modest rise of about 10 basis points. It's still, the core CPI is still pretty low, so it's got a forecast coming at 0.3%. If it does come in higher than that, it means inflation's sort of picking up, and expect that'll sort of start forcing the Fed's hand a little bit, whether they initiate some rate rises. Trump's been really heavy in wanting to reduce rates, so if it does come in hotter than expected, that's going to make that sort of discussion quite interesting.
Australian Treasury Jim Chalmers budget tonight for housing.
Yeah, it's on the local front. We've got the federal budget being released. This is probably going to be one of the biggest ones in recent years. The key focus is going to be on housing and the housing market, how to get more young Australians into it. Probably won't have any direct implications on the Aussie dollar and markets initially, but it will give an indication of where the government is looking to take the economy in the next months and years ahead. So look for more the longer term impacts of this.
And big moves overnight, starting with the euro yen, almost a 1% move from close yesterday.
Yeah, popped back up. I think the market's not as worried about BOJ intervention as they were last week, so that means sort of all the crosses are strengthening against the yen a bit.
The S&P, bit of a jump as well.
Yeah, I feel like every day we're saying that it's keep hitting all-time highs, and it sort of did that again yesterday, came off a little bit towards the end of yesterday, but yeah, they keep going from strength to strength, and that's based on the tech-led earnings.
Silver, massive movement there in silver. What was causing this one?
Yeah, big price rise in silver, and it's sort of been on the up the last few weeks. It's been building momentum. I think the rallies we saw in the precious metals sort of last year, I think the underlying factors behind that are still there. Obviously, they came off a lot with a lot of profit taking. I think the levels did get quite high, and obviously this Middle Eastern conflict took a lot of steam out of it. But I think the markets are sort of a bit more forward-looking now, and I think it's just got to continue strengthening as that investor sentiment turns more positive.
Yeah, okay. No, interesting one to watch as well, and see where the similarities there are with gold as well. Okay, so some big movements in volatility. Bitcoin, which has been reasonably well behaved, I guess, for the past sort of couple of months in terms of Bitcoin at least. But some big movements last night.
Yeah, for sure. It's been pretty tame, but now we're starting to see a bit more movement and a bit more volatility. It's now sort of holding above the 80K level, and it keeps trying to test that $82,000. There's been some resistance at that point, but the market keeps trying to push it past that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see today, tomorrow, whether it can push beyond that point. And
the euro pound as well, like normally fairly well behaved, but quite a bit of up and down in the past 24 hours.
Yeah. So over the weekend, past 24 hours, a lot of movement in the euro pound. England had some local elections where the incumbent government suffered some pretty heavy defeats. So that sort of paves the way later this year when they have their big elections. There could be a bit of movement on the on which government's in charge. So yeah, I think the market was just sort of speculating a little bit on that. But you can see sort of finished the day reasonably flat. There was just a bit of intraday volatility.
And the chart of the day, the Nasdaq. So you've talked very briefly about the tech sector really sort of driving that momentum on the back of AI in particular. So just walk us through this chart. What are we seeing here?
Yeah, I suppose we're sort of looking at the charts on a daily basis. So I thought it was a good time to sort of step back. And when we're talking about all-time highs, what it actually looks like. So this is the last sort of almost 10 years, so going back to June 2016. And you can just see how much momentum the Nasdaq's gathered, and particularly the last sort of month and a half. You can see that huge spike in April, and then it's continued that momentum this month. The high is now really high, and that big spike towards the right-hand side, that's all the AI boom at the moment. And markets getting really excited about where that's happening, all the efficiencies companies will get, how much cost they'll be able to save versus the revenue they'll be able to generate. So yeah, when we're talking about all-time highs, that's what it actually looks like. And yeah, the markets are really excited at the moment.
Yeah, so not just record highs, but record, I guess, levels of growth over that short period of time. Yeah. Again, reflecting, very accurately the growth in AI as well. Okay, and the article of the day, which we'll send around afterwards regarding silver that we've briefly touched on.
Yep.
Any questions from you guys this morning?
So Nasdaq's at all-time highs, and the last time that it's kind of gone parabolic, it'll retrace 20%. And this morning, Michael Berry obviously crying wolf again. What do you think will drive the fundamentals, like to make it drop or even retrace? And how far do you think it would retrace?
Michael Berry. he's not always right. He's made a couple of good calls. Look, I think definitely we're not going to see this level of growth continue at that pace. As to when it's going to stop or slow, I no idea.
Do you think, because we've seen the Nasdaq in the face of the Iran conflict continue to reach all-time highs, do you think, I guess what would happen if the war escalated, like from its current point, like no more ceasefire? Do you think that would have a huge effect on the Nasdaq, or kind of a dampened effect?
Yeah, I guess what we've seen is that the Nasdaq in particular hasn't been as reactive to the conflict, I guess, as as some of the other equities and other products out there, but. Yeah, I think it would obviously just depend on exactly the circumstances. You've got Trump who's just saying all sorts of things, causing all these weird and wonderful reactions. So, again, I think it's, like I said, all I can say is it's not as reactive as I think everyone's expected it to be with the conflict. I don't think that will change as far as the movements we see, but you never know.
And similarly on the upside as well, you don't think like the end of the conflict would have like an effect on the price, like even going all-time highs, like further pushing higher.
I think, yeah. I think if there was like a definite end to the conflict, you're probably going to see some big movements there. Obviously, not just in the equities, but I think people at the moment are not, they're probably not going to just straight away accept that, conflict over. As we've seen, people are reacting in different ways as well to the announcements. So I just don't think there'll be that kind of one single movement.
Thanks.
All good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers.